For every new summer job story, there's another story about the rising number of teenagers and young adults out of work. As a way to help close the job gap, the Youth Justice Empower Union plans an event tomorrow, a youth unemployment fair. To tell us about the campaign is our guest from the union, the lead organizer, Roy James-Daley. Thank you very much for being with us, Roy.
No problem.
First of all, talk about the situation right now for teenagers. If you don't have a program where you can get a summer job, what's the chance of finding a summer job?
Well, the chances are quite low because first and foremost, there's only 5,000, oh no, let me correct myself. There are 8,800 jobs available for young people in the city of Boston. And of the total number of young people who actually apply, which is 14,000, 5,000 of them are left out. So roughly around 9,000 young people get jobs, but more specifically 8,800 do. 8,800 do, my apologies.
What about your own experience?
My own experience, I was actually a youth leader from the age of 16, and I'm 20 years old now, where I'm a lead organizer for another nonprofit organization.
Do you think that changed your life in some significant way?
Most definitely. If it wasn't for my experiences over those 4 summers, over those 4 years, I would not be the person I am here today, encouraging young people to step up into the position that I am now in and doing the things that I've done in my past.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the things you were doing in those jobs, either coming into contact with young people or being an advocate.
Well, the things that I did back in my day was a lot of facilitation around different social justice issues. And a lot of what we do at YJPU is those same things, youth empowerment, youth leader development, and organizing around youth justice issues. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd actually share with you like our demands for our youth jobs campaign. A little bit, like after I do a little bit of a introduction of who we are. So the Youth Justice Empower Union is a grassroots nonprofit youth-led organization supported by adults. We've been around for the last 4 years, and we're a multi-issue platform organization with our predominant campaign being our youth jobs campaign. So our demands as follows: 14,000 jobs available for young people every year, and we want $8.5 million in funding for that to come from the city level to fund that 14,000 jobs. Along with that, we would like the private sector to also fund $8.5 million, along with the state to fund $8.5 million. But our organizing efforts are focused around the city level as of right now. Along with that, we're asking BYF to include both 14-year-olds and 19-year-olds in their age limits, so young people who apply in those age ranges can get a job. And we would like to just acknowledge the fact that they recently increased it from 15 to 17 to 15 to 18. And last but not least, if the minimum wage increases this year, we would like to ask for $9.6 million instead of $8.5 million, just to make sure that the jobs that we fought for are there.
Well, you have a goal figure, so what's the size of the gap we're talking about in terms of the way things are now and the way things you want them to be?
The gap is quite large. Like I said, it was 5,000 jobs that young people aren't getting. So a good amount of young people who actually apply don't get jobs. And we really need those jobs for young people in Boston because there are a whole bunch of things that are happening in our streets in terms of like violence, issues with transportation, and just like poverty overall. Like most of the young people that I've been working with, and even for myself, my own experience, are like the main source of income in our household. So we just need to make sure that we have those jobs to make sure that we can support and provide ourselves like the necessary things we need to do to have a functioning life.
Of course, the other thing you've got to do is, no matter where you turn, you've got to compete with other demands for money. If you look at the city right now, we have a school department that's hurting for money. So this affects a lot of the same people that you're representing. How do you convince, let's say, the mayor and the city council that you need to get more money for youth jobs, even though you're hurting in the school department?
How do we convince them? Well, first and foremost, we actually had the mayor commit to meeting with us 4 times out of the year. He hasn't met with us yet, but we're hoping that Mayor Walsh actually does meet with us because he has been a champion during his days as a state representative for young people and whatnot. So he has a really good reputation, and we just really want to see him meet our demands in his first year. We know there's a lot that's going on, but we still want to make sure that he does this and just unfreeze this budget freeze for youth jobs. Along with that, we have majority of the city council who's willing to send the mayor a letter in support of our demands. Tito Jackson has been a huge supporter in all this, and we're actually going to release the information on who specifically sent the letters to the mayor tomorrow at our action.
Councilor Jackson has been very concerned about young men growing up in the city. How important is this campaign? I know it's important to young women too, but what about young men?
What about young men?
As far as having a future, having hope, motivation, and some of the experience.
It's vitally important because in like past generations, there's a whole bunch of stereotypes that are directed towards not black men, but black men of color. Not black men.
Young men of color.
Yes, young men of color and the older generation men of color. And it's very important for our young men to have these type of jobs in order to better themselves and create a career that they're flourishing and bettering themselves from the last generation. And a lot of the work that I'm doing is majority young women and people who identify as genderqueer. So it's very important for the gap for young men to step up in that, and just for us to outreach there too.
Well, you have an event planned tomorrow, and one of the things I'm sure you're trying to do is show that a lot of people care about this. So explain how this is supposed to work.
All right, so our message around the youth unemployment fair is that the city can have as many youth jobs fair as you want, but if we don't have the $4.5 million in addition to the $4.4 million that's already been funded, in addition to that, it really doesn't mean anything because those young people still won't be able to get jobs. So that's why it's important.
And what are you going to be doing at the fair exactly?
Oh yeah, so at the fair there's going to be a whole lot of fun activities, such as pin the tail on the budget, like where does youth jobs fit into $2.7 billion at the city level. Also that tug of war, because it's sort of like a tug of war for people inside the city hall to decide whether should we fund youth jobs or should we fund other things that are also important. So it's like a tug of war, seeing who gets what every single year. And other fun activities that really tie into our event tomorrow.
And if anybody would like some more information about the union, you have some place where they can go for that?
They can visit us on Facebook, YJPU Boston, on Facebook, like our page, and also just come to City Hall tomorrow at 3 p.m., where we'll be having like a goal of 350 young people out there participating in all the activities that we have.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
James-Daley from the Youth Justice and Power Union. We'll have more news in just a moment.